40 degrees. That is how much temperatures will drop in some locations by tomorrow morning as a powerful Arctic blast sweeps across the eastern United States. Pennsylvania, Maryland, even South Carolina will wake up to temperatures 30 degrees below normal. This is not just cold. This is dangerous cold, arriving less than 2 weeks after over 110 people lost their lives in the January winter storm sequence that left entire communities frozen in darkness. Here is the important part. In the next 7 minutes, I am going to give you the exact timing for when this Arctic air arrives in your city, when temperatures plummet, when snow begins, and what meteorologists are warning could develop by the middle of February. Not general information, exact times, specific forecasts, hour-by-hour breakdowns you will not find anywhere else. If you are watching this from the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, or the Northeast, this forecast is critical. Right now, at this very moment, an Arctic air mass is building over Canada. By tonight, it unleashes across the East Coast. By tomorrow morning, life-threatening cold is on the table. Meanwhile, a completely opposite weather pattern is developing simultaneously across the central and western United States with record-breaking warmth, temperatures 40 degrees above average in some locations, and this clash between these two extreme air masses will set the stage for more snow, more dangerous weather, and a potential polar vortex collapse in the third week of February that could bring the longest stretch of extreme cold in decades. This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. Meteorologists are watching a weather pattern that we simply do not see very often in February. If you live anywhere from Kentucky to Maine, from Virginia to New York, the next 72 hours will determine whether you face blizzard conditions, whether your region sees heavy snowfall, and whether this Arctic blast is just the beginning of something far more dangerous ahead. And before we go any further, drop a comment right now with your city and state. Tell us where you are watching from so we can update you on what to expect in your exact location. Thousands of viewers are already doing this because the timeline matters, the details matter, and what happens this weekend could impact travel, power grids, and safety for millions. Let me walk you through exactly what is about to happen across the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic, hour by hour, because the speed of this temperature drop is what makes it so dangerous. Right now, temperatures across Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Virginia are still relatively mild, but that changes tonight. The Arctic front arrives late Friday evening. Pittsburgh. Your snow begins around 9 p.m. tonight. Not heavy at first, light to moderate snowfall. But here is what you really need to worry about. By 6 a.m. Saturday morning, temperatures will have dropped by 25 to 30 degrees. Wind chills will be well below zero, and the snow will be accompanied by wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour, creating blowing snow and reduced visibility. For those in the Appalachian Mountains near Pittsburgh, this is where the heaviest accumulation hits. 4 to 5 inches of snow by Saturday afternoon. Some locations in the higher elevations could push closer to a foot of snow. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. Your timeline is slightly different. The Arctic air arrives around midnight tonight. By Saturday morning, temperatures drop into the teens with wind chills near zero. Snow showers will be scattered, not widespread, but the real danger is the wind. 30 to 40 mile-per-hour gusts all day Saturday. If you still have a foot of snow on the ground from the storms 2 weeks ago, that snow will blow across roadways. Visibility will drop rapidly in some areas. Blizzard conditions are possible even without heavy new snowfall. Here is the critical part. This is the same region that just experienced catastrophic ice storms. Mississippi and Tennessee are still dealing with 25,000 customers without power nearly 2 weeks later. Families in Oxford, Mississippi went 13 days without electricity. Utility crews are exhausted. Power grids are fragile. And now another round of dangerous cold is arriving. If you are in Kentucky, listen carefully. Snow begins tonight around 8 p.m. By tomorrow morning, wind chills drop to -5 to -10 degrees. This is the coldest air many of you have felt all winter. Louisville, Lexington, you are looking at dangerous cold all weekend long. But the temperatures are just one part of this story. Now, let me tell you what is developing across the Northeast, because this is where blizzard conditions become a serious possibility this weekend. New York, you are under an extreme cold watch from tonight through Sunday. This is not just cold, this is life-threatening cold. Wind chills will drop to -10 to -15 degrees across upstate New York by Saturday morning. Snow begins late tonight around 11 p.m. across western New York. Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. You are looking at 4 to 5 inches of snow by Sunday morning. But here is what nobody else is telling you. The wind is the real story. Wind gusts will reach 40 to 50 miles per hour across New England late Saturday and into Sunday. That means the snow that is already on the ground, the foot or more that many of you received just days ago, will be whipped into the air. Visibility will drop to near zero in some locations. Travel will be treacherous. Interstate 90 will be dangerous. Route 81 will be dangerous. If you do not absolutely need to be on the road Saturday and Sunday, stay home. Boston, your snow arrives around 2 a.m. Saturday morning. Not heavy accumulation for most areas, maybe 2 to 3 inches, but combined with the wind, this creates blizzard-like conditions. By Sunday morning, wind chills across Massachusetts drop to -5 degrees. Portland, Maine, you are looking at similar conditions. 3 to 4 inches of snow Saturday, wind gusts near 50 miles per hour, and wind chills bottoming out near -10 degrees by Sunday morning. Here is the timeline you need to remember. Friday night, the snow begins. Saturday morning, the coldest air arrives. Saturday afternoon and evening, the wind peaks. Sunday morning, the most dangerous wind chills. And this Arctic air does not move out quickly. It lingers. Monday and Tuesday, temperatures across the Northeast remain well below average. Drop a comment below right now with your city. Tell me where you are watching from. I will personally update you with the exact forecast for your location. Do not wait. Type your location now while you are thinking about it. Thousands of people are already doing this and getting critical information. While the East Coast deals with dangerous Arctic cold, something completely opposite is happening across the central and western United States, and this is where the weather pattern gets really interesting. A massive plume of warm air is surging north across the Great Plains and into the Rockies. Monday, look at what happens to temperatures. Des Moines, Iowa, will hit near 70 degrees. 70 degrees. In February. That is almost 40 degrees above average. This is not just warm, this is record-breaking heat. Omaha, Nebraska. You are looking at upper 60s Monday and Tuesday. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, mid to upper 60s. Even areas that saw brutal cold just 2 weeks ago, when temperatures plunged to -43 degrees in Minnesota, are now talking about temperatures in the 40s and 50s by the middle of next week. Rapid City, South Dakota could reach near 65 degrees. That would shatter daily records. Cities across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas will see temperatures 15 to 25 degrees above normal for at least 4 to 5 days. Wichita, you are looking at upper 60s to near 70 early next week. Oklahoma City, mid to upper 60s. Dallas, you could push into the upper 70s. This warm air is not just a one-day event, it builds Sunday, it peaks Monday and Tuesday, and it holds through at least Wednesday. Here is what this means. When you have this much warm, moist air surging north, and you have Arctic cold sitting to the east, eventually those two air masses are going to collide. And that is exactly what meteorologists are watching for late next week. By Thursday and Friday of next week, a low-pressure system will eject over the Rockies. That system will have access to all this warmth, all this moisture, and it will move east toward the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. The forecast models are still working out the details, but here is what is on the table. Heavy snow for parts of the Midwest. Maybe even severe weather across the southern plains if temperatures get warm enough. This could bring snow as far south as Kansas, Arkansas, and Tennessee by the end of next week. The evolution of this pattern is not done, not even close. If you are watching from North Carolina or South Carolina, what I am about to tell you is going to sound absolutely crazy after everything your region just went through. Raleigh, you saw significant snowfall just days ago. Charlotte recorded 11 to 12 inches of snow, tying for the fourth highest single-day total since 1880. The Outer Banks experienced bomb cyclone conditions with 50-mile-per-hour winds and 8 to 12-foot waves. 4 homes collapsed into the Atlantic Ocean in Buxton. Debris is scattered across beaches, and now, less than 2 weeks later, here is your forecast. Saturday, snow returns. Not heavy, but enough to add another 2 to 3 inches in some areas. Temperatures plummet into the 20s with wind chills near zero. Sunday morning, dangerous cold. Wind chills drop to 5 to 10 degrees. Roads that were just clearing will refreeze. Black ice will be widespread. But then, something remarkable happens. By the middle of next week, temperatures skyrocket. Wednesday and Thursday, Raleigh, you are looking at temperatures near 67 degrees. 67 degrees. After wind chills near zero just days earlier. This is a 40 to 50 degree temperature swing in less than a week. Charlotte, you will see similar conditions. Upper 60s by Thursday. Greensboro, mid-60s. This is not normal. This is a weather whiplash that puts stress on infrastructure, on power grids that are already fragile, and on people whose bodies are trying to adjust to these wild swings. Here is the real concern. Virginia, you are facing the same pattern. Richmond, Norfolk, your weekend is dangerous cold with snow showers Saturday. Wind chills near zero Sunday morning. Then, by Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures rebound into the 60s. For communities still recovering from the January disaster, for the 25,000 customers in Mississippi still without power, for the families in Tennessee who went weeks without electricity, this kind of temperature volatility is exactly what emergency managers are worried about. Equipment that freezes and thaws repeatedly breaks down faster. Crews that are already exhausted face another round of emergency calls. And the most vulnerable residents, the elderly, those with chronic health conditions, children, they are the ones who suffer the most. This is not just a forecast. This is a warning. If you live in the Carolinas, if you live in Virginia, the next 72 hours are critical. Make sure you have backup heat. Make sure your pipes are protected. Check on your neighbors. And drop a comment below with your location right now. Tell us where you are. Tell us how you are preparing. Because what you share could help someone else in your community stay safe. Let me walk you through what happens beyond this weekend, because the weather pattern is far from settled. Sunday and Monday, the Arctic air that hammered the East Coast this weekend will slide offshore. Temperatures will still be below average across the Northeast, but the worst of the cold begins to ease. By Tuesday and Wednesday, that warmth I talked about earlier finally makes it to the East Coast. Many areas that saw wind chills near zero on Sunday will be in the 50s and 60s by midweek. But then, late next week, another system develops. Current forecast models show a low-pressure system moving out of the Rockies Thursday or Friday. This system will have access to warm, moist air across the central United States. If it tracks far enough north, it could bring heavy snow to the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest. If it tracks farther south, we could be talking about snow mixing with rain across the Ohio Valley and even the potential for severe thunderstorms across the southern plains. It is too early to give you exact details, but here is what I am watching. The clash between warm and cold air masses late next week. The possibility of another significant winter storm for parts of the Midwest. And beyond that, the potential for a polar vortex split in the third week of February. Meteorologists are tracking a stratospheric warming event that could cause the polar vortex to collapse mid-February. If that happens, we could be looking at the longest duration of extreme cold in several decades. Single-digit temperatures across the Midwest and Northeast. Lows from -5 to -10 degrees in some areas. This would not be a 1 or 2 day event. This could last a week or more. I will have a full forecast video early next week, breaking down the extended outlook in detail. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. After this weekend's Arctic blast, the long-range models are showing a potential major pattern shift around February 15th to 20th. That is the window we are watching for the polar vortex collapse. And if that develops the way some models are suggesting, this could be a historic cold outbreak for the central and eastern United States. If you have travel plans this weekend, listen to this very carefully. This is not just a snowstorm. This is not just cold. We are looking at simultaneous blizzard conditions, dangerous wind chills that could cause frostbite in minutes, and widespread blowing snow, reducing visibility to near zero, all happening at once across multiple states. 3 hazards at the same time. If you are flying, expect delays and cancellations Saturday and Sunday across every major airport in the Northeast. Philadelphia, New York, Boston. All of these hubs will see weather impacts. Check your flight status before you leave for the airport. If you are driving, understand that Interstate 95 from Virginia to Maine will have dangerous conditions Saturday. Interstate 80 across Pennsylvania and into New Jersey, dangerous. Interstate 90 across New York, dangerous. The snow itself might only be 2 to 4 inches in many areas, but when you add 30 to 50 mile-per-hour winds, that creates whiteout conditions. You cannot see, you cannot control your vehicle, and if you go off the road, you are sitting in life-threatening cold, waiting for help that might take hours to arrive. Stock your vehicle with blankets, water, snacks, a flashlight, and a phone charger. If you do not need to travel Saturday, do not. If you must travel, do it Friday before the worst conditions arrive, or wait until Monday after the system clears. At home, protect your pipes. Temperatures will drop low enough this weekend to freeze exposed pipes in many areas. Let faucets drip. Open cabinet doors under sinks. If you lost power during the January storms and had pipe damage, you are at higher risk this weekend. Make sure you have backup heat. Space heaters, fireplaces, generators, whatever you have, make sure it is ready. Check on elderly neighbors. Check on anyone who might not be able to care for themselves if conditions worsen. And if you start to feel symptoms of hypothermia, confusion, shivering, slurred speech, get help immediately. This cold is dangerous. This cold can kill. Treat it seriously. As we track this weekend's Arctic blast, there is a bigger concern developing behind the scenes, and it is something emergency managers are watching very closely. The January winter storm sequence exposed critical vulnerabilities across the United States. Power grids in Mississippi and Tennessee collapsed under the weight of ice. Over 110 people lost their lives. 87,000 customers lost power in Mississippi alone, with some families going 2 full weeks without electricity. Utility crews worked around the clock, but in rural areas, full restoration took nearly 3 weeks. The electrical infrastructure is fragile. Crews are exhausted, equipment is damaged, and now, less than 2 weeks later, another round of extreme cold is arriving. Here is why that matters. When temperatures drop this low, electricity demand surges. Everyone turns up the heat. Space heaters run constantly. The grid is stressed. And if we see another wave of ice, another wave of heavy snow, another prolonged cold outbreak in the 3rd week of February, like the models are hinting at, the system might not hold. FEMA has deployed 90 generators to Mississippi. The National Guard activated 5,300 members across 15 states during the January crisis. Private relief efforts brought hundreds of additional generators to Tippah County in Tennessee. But those are temporary solutions. The long-term question is whether aging infrastructure can handle repeated extreme weather events that are becoming more frequent, more intense, and more widespread. Climate scientists are choosing their words carefully, but the pattern is clear. More frequent extreme events. Stronger contrasts between warm and cold air masses. Heavier bursts of precipitation when systems do form. For cities from Memphis to Boston, winter planning can no longer rely on historical averages. It must account for rarer but far more destructive events. And for the most vulnerable residents, those without resources to endure weeks without heat, water, or electricity, each new storm becomes a survival test. What happened in January was historic. What could happen in mid-February might be worse. Here is what you need to remember from this forecast. Tonight and tomorrow, a powerful Arctic blast sweeps across the eastern United States. Temperatures drop by as much as 40 degrees in some locations. Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, the Carolinas, wind chills near or below zero. The Ohio Valley and the Northeast face blowing snow, dangerous wind chills, and potential blizzard conditions even without heavy snowfall accumulation. The Appalachian Mountains could see 4 to 12 inches of snow by Sunday. By the middle of next week, record warmth builds across the central and western United States, with temperatures 40 degrees above average in Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota. Late next week, these two extreme air masses collide, setting the stage for another potential winter storm across the Midwest and Great Lakes. And beyond that, the third week of February could bring a polar vortex collapse with the longest stretch of extreme cold in decades. You have the forecast. You have the timeline. You have the warnings. What you do with this information is up to you. Prepare now, not tomorrow morning. Now. Protect your home, protect your family, check on your neighbors, and drop a comment below one more time with your city and state. Tell us where you are watching from. Share how you are preparing. Your comment could help someone else in your area stay safe. What changes do you believe are needed to ensure communities are better protected before the next winter crisis strikes? This is not over. Stay alert, stay prepared, and stay safe.